You want to stress the defense in the middle of the field, but some of your concepts like shallow cross, wide cross, or even mesh aren't working for you. Well, I got a concept that you got to try out. Check this video out right now. In this video, we are going to talk about a concept that does stress the defense in the middle of the field, that takes advantage of a high-low read, makes it super easy for your quarterback to read it, and makes an easy completion possible. I'm not talking about shallow cross. I'm not talking about mesh. I'm not even talking about wide cross. I'm talking about the dagger concept. You don't hear about it talked much and say, well, now that I hear it, I'm thinking, Coach, I've heard about that dagger concept. It's in Madden. And you're absolutely right. It is in Madden, and I'm guilty as charged for using it. It's definitely in Madden. It's a great concept, and you can use that same kind of concept out of multiple formations. But I'm going to show you in this video that you should install this concept into your offense if you want an easy high-low read in the middle of the field for your quarterback in the drop back passing game. It's easy to install, it's easy to teach, and it's easy to break down and learn. Dagger concept. It is a drop back pass. What does that mean? That means that it's a longer developing play, which means that the quarterback has to get further into his drop. Remember, more space equals more time. So he needs to get further in his drop to create more space because this play takes longer to develop. Attack the underneath defender. If we are not hitting that post or that seam over the top, then we are attacking that play side underneath defender, which is typically that overhang linebacker. If he gets depth, that opens the space for the drag. If he stays shallow and stays close to the line, that opens up the window in behind for the drag or the dig route. Inside receiver who's going vertical has to occupy the safeties. We want to pull that play side safety away, either on a post or deep vertical on that seam route. But again, that is meant to occupy the safeties, to pull that play side safety away to create even more space. Quarterback reads. Quarterback needs to make sure that safety is occupied. The safety is not occupied. He's got to check it down to either the running back or he's got to look for the drag. But if that safety is occupied, now his eyes go to that overhang defender. And now what he is looking for is if that defender gains depth, meaning he falls back further downfield, then he's looking to hit that drag when it comes across formation. If not, and if that linebacker or overhang defender comes down onto that drag, if it crosses his face, then the window opens up behind that defender, and that's where he's going to hit that ball into that window. The breakdown of the routes here, we are in an ace formation, or what is just a 2x2 set here. We have X and H always on the left, Z and Y always on the right. And this is where we're going to run the concept to the left side here just to show you. So H right now got his seam route, but since there are two high safeties here, he knows that he needs to break his route off into a post to split those two safeties. X here is running a 6-step dig, try and keep it at about 10 yards, a little bit less. Now he has the option here, if he sees an open window, to break it down into those open windows with his hands up, showing his hands to the quarterback. Z is running the drag here. It's a 1-step drag. Basically what he wants to do is he wants to aim at the heels of this defensive end and cut it through and get as fast as he can across the formation, just like shallow cross, and try and break open in this portion of the field. Tell the quarterback, get into your drop. Again, this is a drop back pass. It's not a quick game pass, so he needs to get space. Again, remember, space equals time, so he needs to get into his drop, create that space to give him time to make his read. If he can hit that hole shot, if he sees that ability to hit that hole shot over the top in between the safeties, because those safeties have dropped back into their double halves here, then he has the ability to do that. But then his eyes turn to this player, and this is the defender we are reading right here. We are reading that defender right there, and based on what he does, will determine where this quarterback throws the ball. Again, it's a high-low read here. So we are reading high to low. Does he sit on this drag? If he does, we hit the drag in right here in this window because he's vacating that window. If he drops back into more of a deep portion here, then the window is right here. The window is right there in front of him, and we hit the drag on one of our faster receivers in space and on the move. This is what it would look like out of a 3x1 set. This is late or 3x1 to the left here. So differences are not much, The only difference is really here with Z, the inside receiver. What do you do with him? Do you have him on a flat route? You can do multiple things here. You can have him on the flat route. Personally, I like this because I want to try and see if I can't get anything into this little window here if the quarterback doesn't like the read here. So same thing, middle receiver, going to be on his seam. If he sees a too high shell, he's going to break it off into a post. So he's going to have to do an inside release here to try and get up to this hash to cut it into the seam and then cut it into the middle of the field here for the post. The dig route here, again, 6 steps, and he's cutting it across the field, so he'll probably be within 10 yards or underneath 10 yards. Now, the single receiver here, it now becomes the drag. So he's going to come across the field, still aiming for this defender's heels. Still aiming for this defender's heels. Now, here's the thing. This is a little bit longer developing of a play because this player has a little bit further to travel on the drag route. So that's why this route right here is open, because this dig more than likely is going to occupy this corner here. So that Z, if this is taking too long, that Z opens up into the flats right here, especially if that corner is occupied. If that corner jumps that flat route, then the quarterback can hit this dig right here across the middle of the field. Scenario number 1 here, we are trying to attack the middle of the field. We are going to be running the primary side of the dagger concept to this side. So we are going to try to attack this section of the field. So this receiver right here, he is going to run his seam, but since we have a too high safety look, he's going to break his seam off and he's going to break it into a post. We're going to have about the 10-yard dig here from this receiver coming across the field. The drag coming away this side. We're going to have a vertical here just to occupy this corner here, and then we're going to have the shoot route from the running back. So if we cannot hit that hole shot, we are looking at this defender right here. Does he drop back? So it turns into a high-low read again. Does he drop back, or does he stay flat in here close to the line? And again, it turns into a high-low read. So we're going to run the scenario. And in this scenario, I have all defenders dropping back into a deeper zone. So you'll see that it takes away the dig, but the drag pops open underneath. You see right there how much space there is. So we flipped it around. Now you're going to see again the space here. Same scenario. This defender is going to drop back into a little bit deeper of a zone, opens up space for the drag. And you see this window is what we are trying to attack with the dagger concept. Scenario number 2 involves if that defender recognizes the drag and tries to take it away. So if he recognizes the drag here and tries to jump down and try and jump it, then that space opens up for the dig in behind it. Now, like I talked about earlier, you could actually, if you don't want it to be a dig, if it takes too long to develop, you could turn this into a fin route if you wanted to. But still, this window right here is the area of the field we are trying to take advantage of if we are running the concept to this side. So you're going to see the space. Safeties are going to drop back into their zone. Basically, it's going to be a quarters look here. But this defender right here in this scenario does recognize the drag coming across the field. So he tries to jump it, which opens up the space in behind him for the dig route. In this third scenario I drew up here, you can see now we are in a single high safety. So now this seam route does potentially come open based on what this defender does here. If this defender stays into a zone more towards the middle of the field, he can hit the ball directly right over the top for an easy hole shot for the receiver to make a big play right down the seam. And you can see right over top, he stays flat. It's easy throw. Now, again, that throw does not need to be lofted up into the air for this safety to give him enough time to get over there to make a play on the ball. It needs to be directly right over top of the linebacker's head and dropped right into the arms of the receiver, running straight down the seam. Subtle differences between the dagger concept and the shallow cross. The dagger concept, obviously, from what I showed you, attacks the middle of the field. It stresses the defense in the middle of the field. It stresses them vertically, and then we take advantage of that vertical stress to hit them underneath in the gaps that are created by which defender picks which route. Very, very similar to shallow cross. However, shallow cross, obviously on the outside, we are stretching the corners vertically and then trying to take advantage of the holes that are created where the corners are not. So it's a different way of thinking. It looks very, very similar to the shallow cross. Some subtle differences, like I said, But as you can see, very, very easy to install, very easy to teach, and it's basically low risk, high reward type of play. So I highly recommend you use this play in your offense. If you've not already, you can run out of multiple formations like I talked about. So hope you liked this video. If you did, subscribe down below. Also give this video a like. It helps the video get seen. And also, if you like this video, check out this video right here.